the year 1241, after very little warning, terrified monarchs all over Europe could do little but wait as a terrible and colossal wave of nomadic steppe warriors descended upon them from the eastern borders of Christendom. Tens of thousands of highly organised, highly trained and highly experienced nomadic horse archers from beyond the edge of the world. Experts at living off the land, all the Mongol war machine needed to operate was open grassland to feed its horses, cities to plunder and glories to win. And as chance would have it, lush grasslands just so happened to stretch in an almost unbroken line all the way from France back to Mongolia. Although technically under the command of Batu Khan, a candidate for leadership and a grandson of Genghis, the real tactical command lay with Subutai, a self-made man and a brilliant tactician from a young age. Subutai was by now a veteran of well over 50 battles, during which time he had never suffered a substantial defeat. A large number of his men had served alongside him for decades. The European armies sent to face him, by comparison, were made up largely of poor, malnourished peasants with little military experience besides mandatory service to their liege lords. Truth be told, they never really stood a chance. Like all of the great generals of history before him, Subutai always maximised his own advantages whilst minimising those of his enemies. He even used siege weapons in open battle, an unheard of tactic for the time, notably using giant stone throwers to clear a bridge of Hungarian crossbowmen at the Battle of Mohyl. Time and time again, Subutai annihilated army after army sent out to fight him, even expertly coordinating two battles over 500 kilometres apart to defeat the armies of Hungary and Poland simultaneously. During his lifetime, Subutai conquered more territory than any other commander in history. Yet he was not royalty or even a son of nobility. He was a self-made man from an impoverished background. Likely born the son of a blacksmith in around 1175, Subutai left his clan at the age of 14 to go and join Genghis Khan's army. Then still known by his birth name, Temujin, and still a fairly localised power. Within a decade, however, they had set the steppe on fire with their fury, uniting the Mongols under one banner and promising to conquer the entirety of the known world. As Temujin's forces defeated more and more neighbouring nations of nomadic steppe peoples and incorporated them into their own fledgling state, Subutai rose through the ranks to become a general in command of a tumen of his own, 10,000 warriors operating in the vanguard of the main army. By 1212, he had risen to the highest rank available to someone who was not a blood relation to the Great Khan. He even began to fight independent campaigns of his own when he first took the kingdom of Huan by storm and was later sent to destroy the Merkits once and for all, one of the traditional old enemies of the Mongols. By 1219, after the powerful Central Asian kingdom of Khorasan allegedly killed several Mongolian ambassadors, a full-scale invasion was launched. Although undoubtedly one of the most powerful states in the world at the time, the Khwarezmians were unfortunate enough to be the first state to face the entirety of the Mongol war machine, which now included the forces of a multitude of neighbouring steppe peoples who had been absorbed into the whole. Standing at around 100,000 men, the Mongols were still numerically inferior to Khwarezm, which lay on the Silk Road between east and west and boasted some of the most prosperous and largest cities in the world at that point. Nevertheless, the Mongols had experience on their side, and mobility. Subutai commanded the vanguard of the army, and along with Genghis he expertly crushed the Khwarezmians time after time, skillfully using deception and rapid manoeuvring as well as siege equipment. Indeed, this may have been the first time that Subutai saw siege equipment being used, something that he would implement into his own tactics for the duration of the rest of his career. After the defeat of the Khwarezmians, a huge wealth of new lands opened up to the Mongols, who began to split into several different armies operating simultaneously throughout Eurasia. Subutai spent the winter in Azerbaijan, before he conceived of an ingenious plan to travel up through the Caucasus to circle around the Caspian Sea in a lightning assault on a coalition of steppe nomads who had previously defied the Mongols. He pulled off the manoeuvre expertly and annihilated an army of Rus as well as his planned enemies before heading back east to link up with the main Mongol army as it made its way back home. Upon Genghis's death in 1226, Subutai continued to serve his son Ogadai, the new Great Khan, who would continue the legacy of his father in attempting to conquer the entirety of the world. After winning several campaigns against the Chinese, Subutai was sent west yet again to defeat more nomadic peoples, this time the Bulgars, and again the princes of the Rus, before finally he pushed into the prosperous lands he had long sought after, Europe. Subutai was an expert in subterfuge, and employed spies to learn as much as he could about the kingdoms he was about to come up against. By 1240 he was ready. His forces thundered onto the grasslands of Central Europe in several detachments, all coordinated by Subutai's main force, which took on the main Hungarian army. Time and time again, the Hungarian king, along with his Polish, Austrian, Croatian, German, and even Knights Templar allies, fought engagement after engagement with the apocalyptic, endless stream of horsemen pouring into Christendom. It must have seemed like the end of the world. For Subutai, now a man in his mid-60s, who had been commanding troops since the age of 14, the campaign marked the culmination of an extraordinary career. He had been born to make war, and he was exceptional at it. He left nothing to chance, controlling every aspect of battle, even engagements occurring hundreds of miles away from his main force. Just as an example, at the Battle of Mohai, which left the Hungarian army utterly annihilated, he left a gap in the encircled enemy forces, not wanting to allow the Hungarians to make a last stand and possibly inflict severe casualties on his own men. Subutai preferred to leave a gap to give the terrified men the option of running, knowing that most would take it and then be picked off one by his disciplined forces, with little risk to themselves. Modern scholars place the overall death toll in Hungary at around 1/4 of the population. Nearly every major city lay destroyed and the economy crippled in the wake of the invasion. Whilst it is undeniably true that Hungary took the brunt of the Mongol attack, Poland suffered also. Just as an example, due to the severity of the defeat inflicted at the Battle of Chelmik, which was the major engagement against the army of Poland, no record even exists of what happened because no one was left to tell of it. In the aftermath, the abandoned city of Krakow was plundered at will by the victorious Mongol detachment, which wasn't even Subutai's main army. The next spring, Subutai likely would have invaded the Holy Roman Empire, before planning to move on into the lush grasslands of France. Before he could do so, however, in one of the most fortuitous moments of chance that ever occurred in the history of Europe, the great Khan Ogedai died, and all of the Mongol forces were recalled from the far-off lands they fought in order to choose the next one. Subutai would never return to Europe, instead being sent in an entirely new direction by the new great Khan, Guyuk, who held no love for Subutai's former commander, Batu Khan. Guyuk wanted to ensure that he would not have to face Subutai in battle if the feud did indeed come to blows. Therefore, he fought his final campaign against the Song dynasty of China at the age of 70 in 1246, before finally dying of old age in his home on the Toul River near modern-day Ulaanbaatar in 1248. Subutai's life remains as testament to the methods of the Mongols, specifically their tendency to promote by merit and absorb useful people and tactics from conquered peoples into their own. Commanders like Subutai, who rose through the ranks on their own merit rather than inheriting their titles from their fathers, are precisely the reason why the Mongols were able to conquer the largest land empire known in history.